Hey you guys, I'm Stacy J. Welcome to my discussion. So listen, there's no question that our founding fathers modeled our society after Roman dreams. Classical republicanism was obviously a component of early American political language and thought, and there are some questions about its role and its ultimate contribution to early American political consciousness, which takes me to my review this week. In Chapter 1 of Eran Shalev's American Zion, the Old Testament as a political text from the Revolution to the Civil War, this chapter was entitled Justus Cincinnatus. It's going to reveal this mismatch between the social and political, anti-authoritarian and central character of American culture and the restrictive and communitarian nature of classical republicanism against biblical republicanism, to which the author said is what we have in our country and what it was founded on. Biblical republicanism, he says, enabled potentially every literate American, not just those who were formally educated or the elites, to come to terms with this civic humanism through the use of well-known Old Testament structures, narratives, forms, metaphors, which is going to function through the era. In the words of Mark Knoll, this common coinage of the realm, the Protestant universe that emerged in colonial British North America and early United States. The Bible was, according to Guttaric, of course, again, the most printed, most distributed, and most read written text in North America. It was believed that the text provided what we needed for our salvation, and man would read it and it would tell him what he should be and ought to be and ought not to do. And so this is going to become a guiding principle in establishing our government. This biblical supremacy led to good books' dominance on the world of American print, creating countless shared idioms, metaphors, again, narratives and themes. It was a chief source for school-age children from which they learned reading and writing, together with a few other heavy documents and texts. We have programs like Catechism in New England as a primer, which is going to yield this new form of content and education in early America, again, based around religion and establishing this biblical republicanism. Eran, Shalev in American Zion, Chapter 1, is going to assert or explain that this happens because the first authorized translation of the Bible into English was mass-produced, spread throughout the world, especially throughout the colonies, and was believed that it taught men everything they need to know, everything they needed to learn and to do and not do. This followed this Protestant doctrine of sola scriptura, or by scripture alone. And eventually it's going to raise readership rates through the roofs of the Bible throughout the colonies and solidify this biblical republicanism society, according to Shalev. And he affirms that this is no accident, but a consequence of a theology which emphasizes purposely a direct relationship between the word as an essential component of spiritual life and what's necessary for salvation. So by attaching themselves to these narratives, our forefathers were essentially suggesting they had a divine right to or a manifest to achieve what they did achieve in this government. Best known example from the Bible stories would be that of the Exodus, which we all know the story of Moses and leading his people out of bondage. And so early immigrants are going to attach themselves to this story, and our founding fathers are also going to echo this in many speeches and document. But think about it. Demanding ideologies such as civic humanism, in the words of political scientist Alan Gibson, is a distinguishable political language, and it is definitely evident in our founding documents. Tell me, guys, what do you think about our founding fathers? You think that they deified themselves in order to create this biblical republic? And if so, are they trying to create a new Rome? Tell me what you think about that. Thanks. Make sure you share in the discussion post.